Many people don't understand it, but I love to draw and paint bugs. To make my artwork, I'm often projecting my imagination into the lives of other creatures to picture what their worlds might look like. In one of my latest drawings, we see a snail and a ladybug slowly crossing paths along a dandelion stem. We know that they see each other, they have eyeballs, but is there some sort of deeper connection? Have they met before somewhere else in the garden? Is there a dialogue? I don't believe that we can answer any of those questions. There's just so much about nature that we can't explain. At the very minimum, we see two beings crossing paths, both with the ability to suffer, both who strive to live lives with full bellies, both with instincts to avoid danger, and perhaps even hopes of finding a companion. So my thoughts are, what's really so different between us and them? Now, this is my heart at age 30, but at age 5, I was a defiant little girl sitting crouched on the edge of our front flower bed with a leaky garden hose in my hands. I was using the drip from that garden hose to draw circles of water around individual ants to see if they could swim. And spoiler alert, this type of ant does not swim. So the little black ant in front of me reached out and touched the edge of the water with its antenna and then immediately began to panic. It found itself completely surrounded by my moat of water. And I was, of course, sitting there waiting and watching for it to jump into the water and swim to the other shore. But of course, it just didn't seem so eager to do so. So I grew impatient, and I remember taking that hose and filling in the rest of that little island of safety and watching that little black ant promptly sink to the bottom. Now, my mom was one of those moms that has eyes in the back of her head. Either that or she was just always checking in on me because I was always up to no good. Whatever brought her there that day, she found me drowning ants. And my mom didn't stop me, she didn't punish me, but what she said to me seemed to transform every cell in my body. She said, "You know, Stephanie, God made the ants and the other animals of the world too, not just you." That was as if a tuning fork had just been struck in my chest, and the vibration from that stopped me dead in my tracks. Now, earlier that summer, I almost drowned in a friend's swimming pool, and this is the first time I'm telling that story. Nobody knew about it. I distinctly remember the world being bright blue and ice cold, but my lungs were burning, my limbs were burning, and my eyes were burning. I was doing the only thing that I knew how to, and I was jumping or kicking off the bottom of the deep end with all of my might every time I sunk low enough in the water to be able to feel the floor. At first, those big kicks were enough to launch me through the water and get me to the top, and I was able to gulp down some air before sinking again and having to repeat that excruciating process. It felt like I was doing this for hours. How long was I drowning in the deep end of this pool alone? Nobody there to save me. My limbs no longer had the strength to get me to the top of the water, and I remember clearly this deep sense of pressure coming in from all sides. Suddenly, my feet caught what I think might have been the edge of the shallow end, the bottom of the pool, and I kicked off the bottom one last time, launched myself through the water, but this time I was able to grab on to the side of the pool and slowly drag my exhausted body out of the water. At the top, I realized that nobody saw that happen. There was nobody there. And you know what? Nobody heard about it happening as I just rejoined the birthday party, which had moved from the backyard to the front without me. So I'm remembering this and I'm starting to panic. I blew on the top of that puddle and it flattened out and absorbed into the wood of the flower bed. And I watched with great fear as that little black ant slowly dragged her exhausted body out of the water. Looking back and while I was writing down this story, I realized that that day my mom gave me perhaps the most important gift that I'll ever receive. She gave me the gift of empathy. Thank you so much for listening to my story.